Welcome to Tuesday Twinterludes
on Queer Factor
with Ellen
and Grace,
otherwise known as
Grellin. First, before we jump into our vlog this week, we just want to take this opportunity to thank all the people who voted for us, and especially Christian Jen for picking us. We didn't really get a chance to do that before. We've kind of got a bit of a forum where the Queer Factor organisers were all talking about what we want to put into this channel, and everyone seems really super excited. So
everyone seems awesome as well, so we're like really stoked to be part of this. So really thanks a lot to everyone who supported us. This is kind of our debut on YouTube, so we weren't totally sure what to expect, but the response has been great, and we really hope that we can give something back to everyone who's supporting us and is viewing.
Because we're here for you guys. We're here for you guys, so throw in your requests and your questions, and everyone will be more than happy to try and answer them for you. Do our best.
And we'll try to stay awesome. Because we've grown up together, we've kind of always had someone who was, I guess, a bit of a pillar of strength and trust for each of us, and also someone who could relate to a lot of our experiences. And we're not the same person, as many of our friends will assert. We're different in quite a lot of ways, but in many ways we are similar, and we do understand each other, and we do have a sense of kind of mutual trust, which made the whole process of coming out easier on that fateful day when Grace came into my room and stood behind my computer chair and said, "I think I'm bi." And I turned around and said, "I think I am too."
For Ellen and me, at least, we both first came out to each other as bi, and some of our friends as bi, before we realised that we were actually gay. And I've kind of coined a term for this, which is called bisexual bridging, which isn't to say that, you know, bisexuality isn't a very valid and real orientation. I think some people have this perspective of, you know, the sexuality spectrum, and they're like, you can be gay or you can be straight, and bisexuality is just a realisation in between that. It's not. It's a valid sexuality.
It's like a means to an end, some people think. Yeah.
But the thing with bisexual bridging is, I think this is my personal opinion. I have no basis. I think growing up, you kind of assume that you're heterosexual because you're surrounded by all these heterosexual relationships in your environment and in the media, largely. And yeah, often when kids are young and they're sheltered also from, you know, other orientations, you know, because maybe their parents are trying to protect them, and you may not be aware of other ones till later in your life, or your only perception of gay people maybe, you know, 3 minutes flash of Mardi Gras in the media is like people with rainbow coloured body paint and
mohawks,
and like, you know, fake eyelashes and stuff.
And hot pants,
and only as time progresses you realise, you know, from this assumed norm, you actually have feelings for the same sex, and you think, okay, maybe I'm bi. And then, you know, time progresses more and you're like, okay, maybe I actually don't have feelings for the opposite sex, maybe I'm gay. I'm not saying everyone, you know, follows that path. Some people know they're gay from... in fact, I met someone who knew they were gay from when they were 3.
Or if you're ashamed of the L word, you think you were gay from 4 or so.
So there you go. Yep. But that's just a theory of mine. I mean, feel free to comment on that if you know more about that. I just find it interesting.
So Grace and I both got to the point where we wanted to tell people about the fact that we were both identifying as bisexual. We wanted to do this probably partly to release some anxiety about it, depending on who we were. That was a different level, I think, but also just to have a sense of honesty with our friends. And so I think for a lot of people, the coming out process is something that's very personal and is focused on when you're ready and when you want to do it. And many people will emphasise that to you, and it's totally true. But for us, the story was a bit different.
Yes. So I think when we first started coming out, there was actually quite a bit of competitiveness about it. Because, you know, regardless of whether the experience is terrifying, which sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, there's also a real sense of exhilaration when you first come out to someone. You know, you're being honest about who you are, and when that suspicion had been planted, we would find that if one of us came out and then someone else came out to that person, you didn't get you know,
reaction.
You didn't get to gauge their initial shock, or you didn't get to answer the questions that they might initially have, which they might not, you know, if they found out from me, they might not ask Ellen the same things.
Because they assume things of both of us, which to a degree was probably okay, but for someone who's just found this huge part of their identity that they really want to share and really, you know, passionate about getting out there, even if the whole experience is just really scary, we really wanted to have that experience, each of us alone, and so to have to share that was something we weren't so keen on, so pretty much we started a rat race to come out first.
Yeah. So this actually created some arguments between Ellen and I because, for instance, I might want to come out to someone, but should I have her permission first as well as mine? Or, you know, is it okay for me to come out to someone as long as I tell her afterwards? And we're actually kind of interested to hear what other people's opinions are on this because, you know, coming out is a very personal process, and when we probably, you know, move away from each other, it won't be as big a deal. People won't know the other twin, but at the moment, when we have many of the same friends, it's
when
a
our
very
circles of friends are enmeshed, then it's a real
it's a very
big
present issue,
I suppose.
So please share your opinions on this and what you think. It'd be very interesting to hear.
Okay. Hello. So we could talk about coming out forever.
Yes.
But we have to keep this down to like under 10 minutes. So we have a few final points we'd like to throw on about coming out. Not related to twins, but just in general, just stuff we want to say. So here's Grace to talk about coming out and how it relates to your parents or guardians or other people in your life, really.
I think it's important to be able to remember, or if you're in the position, be able to reassure your parents that it's okay for them to experience perhaps some regrets and losses when you reveal your true identity. And that's because I think when you finally come to a place where you're ready to come out, when it's on your own terms, you often can, you know, be so accepting of yourself that you're ready to go, you know, why don't you accept me? But you've got to remember that when your parents are watching you grow up, they have certain visions about what your life will be like in the future. You know, maybe you'll get married and have kids, and even though, you know, the gay community's striving to make those things possible, they may have had different ideas about that.
Even if the only discrepancy is, you know, the gender of the person that you're actually intending to marry as compared to what their vision said, that's still something they have to adjust to, and that can still be quite significant. And also to...
Even if they're totally supportive,
that's
it's quite likely that if they have any grasp of homophobia or the inequalities that we as a community still face in the world, they understand that life's going to be a bit harder for you, and that can be quite sad for a parent to hear. So, you know, if they need to retreat and have time to readjust,
if they're not bouncing off the walls at the news, then maybe just try and empathise a little bit to the fact that they haven't had as long to think about this as you have, and there's some things that they need to chew through, possibly. Yeah. Alright. Our final point is about how you could possibly respond to someone who is either thinking or saying, this is just a phase. So, you might say, even if you do think this is just a phase of mine, and you do view this sexuality as temporary or as on a path to my real sexuality later, this is still where I am now, and it took a lot of guts for me to even tell you about my orientation, and so I would really respect and appreciate your support now, even if you don't necessarily believe this is my final destination. Alright, that's pretty much it for this week, but please respond on how you felt about this vlog, if you felt it was too serious, or just whatever. If you appreciated what we said, we would love to hear from you. If you didn't, we'd also like to hear. Feedback's important.
Discussion's good.
And regardless, thank you very much for watching to this point, and we hope you tune in tomorrow for Wednesdays with Tiger Trolley.
Martine.
But for now, this is Tuesday Twinterlude saying goodbye from Oz.
See you next week.